Hey there, it is day 25 of the 1, 2, 3 Draw 30-day challenge. And today we are drawing the oak leaf. Yesterday for day 24, we worked on the acorns, which are the start of every oak tree. Tomorrow we'll be doing the whole tree. So for today, we need to get started. Let's begin by drawing one line that gently swoops down the paper. So it's going to start over here. And it's not a straight line, but it's also not real curvy either. Just a gentle swoosh. We're going to turn that into a leaf stem by making a circle here because this is a tube. And we'll start getting back towards the stem until it becomes part of the stem. Now, we're going to go with the rest of the oak leaf. And when you examine an oak leaf, there are different oaks. There's a black oak, a white oak, a pin oak. So you would have to look at different types of leaves. We're going to look at the black oak leaf, and it has the center leaves that come out farther than any other point of the leaf. So like a tree branch, I'm going to turn this way for one moment. I'm going to go on this side of it and make one swish this way. This is going to be the widest leaf of that tree, of that leaf. Now we're going to go up a little bit, so this side and then that side, up a little, and do the same thing on that side. So we have two in the middle that go out to the edges. Now we're going to do two that are below it and a little bit shorter, so we'll go over here and a little shorter. So this one is really far out this way, but this one comes in more. Same thing, go up a little. We don't want it to come out the same side. We want it to come up a little. That's how nature works. All right. Not as long as those, right? And then we'll go up a little here, out, and then up a little, out. Now, if this feels like it needs to be longer, you can bring that out more. Okay, so it kind of looks like a tree, right? If I were teaching you to draw a tree, I would do the same thing. This side, that side, this side, that side. All right, so now we're going to get to the points of the oak. And we're going to treat all the branches the same, all 7 branches of the leaf. So we're going to make this part here have the letter J come down. So I say it's a J because if it were a U, it would come all the way up to here, but it stops short. So on this side, J. Then we're going to go all the way around and treat every one of these the same way. So J on both sides. I know it seems strange, but it's going to work out. Okay, so now I go around and I'm looking at them and they need to get connected. So what we're going to do is make a really deep U shape. Go from this point of the J to this one on this side. So we come over here and swoop down like a roller coaster over to there. From down here, swish down up to here. I missed it. Make it work. Okay, and from here, swish in, get all the way up to there. From here, all the way to there. And just take your time and make them all connect. And you can see the leaf is appearing right before your eyes. It kind of makes more sense now. All right, now we're at the bottom part, and we have these two that are like laying out in the open, and there's nothing to connect them to. So we're just going to bring it back to the stem. Back to the stem. All right, so I'm going to continue now with holding the leaf on this side. So we're going to put a shadow on it. So the shadow is going to be like a drop shadow, but because the leaf is not a flat object, it's actually, a little wavy. We're not going to make just a perfect little outline on the shadow. We're going to make the shadow kind of bump into itself a little bit. So over here on this side, I'll make a repeat of that line, come out a little, and then I'll bump into it like that. And that's going to be my shadow for that spot. Now down here, I could do the same thing. I'm going to repeat that line a little and then bump into it right there. Now while I'm here, so that things don't start to look confusing, I want to give this a darkening. Now the shadow is going to be darker than any other part, so it's okay to color that just a little bit darker. We are going to color the leaf with some blending, but we won't make it as dark as this. It'll be very gentle. Now, I would tell you right now to make all of the connection parts from the shadow to the leaf darker, but when we blend, it'll get messed up. So at the very end, we're going to darken and give it some extra value at the part where the shadow hits the object. All right, let's finish up the shadow now. On this one here, I'm going to repeat this line. Bump into the edge, do the same thing over here. And then let's just follow this down a little bit, like this actually made a shadow on the ground. And we can even add some shadow up here too. Since it's not a flat object, we could be seeing a shadow maybe right there. Maybe a little bit of a shadow here. You can kind of pick and choose. We don't want to have a lot of shadows on this side of the object. We want to kind of get the idea that the leaf is mostly being shadowed on this side. Okay, so I'm going to work a little bit on getting this part darkened, and then I will move on to some blending. So quickly get this part done, and over here too. Now, if you were interested in drawing different types of leaves, I suggest that you either go find some leaves so you can draw from life, or look up different types of leaves and kind of start with the same process. Like figure out where the veins go first, then figure out what the biggest part of the leaf is, and then make some marks on the paper so that you know where to go to, so that you're not over drawing in any area. All right, so now we're going to start shadowing the leaf itself. So this time I'm going to lay my pencil down and I'm going to try to get the lightest coloring of gray that I can get on here. And I think it's best to be neat, because if you start going like too fast and go out of the lines, it just creates more work that you're going to have to do to clean up your edges. So I prefer not to have to go back and fix things. I like to do them as I go along so that I don't have to go back. All right, the lighter you color this, the easier the pencil pushes around because it sits on the surface. So super, super light. Also, the lighter you are with it, the less chance that you're going to get scratchy lines stuck all over it like scribble, because it won't blend out. So the lighter you color, the better. It's a little bit easier when there's the shadow on the edge of the paper because you don't have to worry about staying in the lines, but you know, you do have to stay in the lines on this. All right, so I've got that shadowed out. Now, you can blend this with your finger, or you could take a little piece of tissue, like regular old tissue, and crumble it up so you got a nice spot, and just blend it out. I think a tissue works very nicely, but sometimes I'm a little bit sloppier with a tissue than I am with my finger because I can't always see where I'm going. So either way. Now, if I go outside the edges, I'll just go back and fix that up with my eraser anyway. All right, so it's all blended now, and you can see like I just wiped out a ton of my details, but I knew what was going to happen. That's why I didn't make you do this earlier. So now I'm going to reinforce some of my lines. All right, so this part here is a stem, and I'm going to make that stand out darker. And this part of the stem, I'm going to make this become dark again. And from here, it goes back and becomes part of the original line. And then I'm going to darken all the veins. Now, when I colored the veins, when I was using color pencil, I used a bright green and I outlined all the veins. Then I used the same color and I colored very gently all over it. And then I took a third color, which is actually the lightest color. I took yellow and I colored on top of the green to blend it together. So if you're going to add some color pencil to it, feel free, but I'm not going to color pencil this one here. So I think it'll just take up a lot of your time, and there's so many different ways to color a leaf. Like you could enjoy it and do it your way. All right, last step. is my shadows. I want this to really look more like a shadow and not like just a thicker edge. So I want to go up to where the shadow touches the object and darken. Just where the shadow hits the object. So I'm not going to outline the entire leaf again. I'm just going up to these parts. Now it looks like I could spend a minute or two making my shadows a little bit more well blended, but I would like to use a blender on that so that I don't make it look messy. So I'm just going to use my blender. If you have a homemade one with a point, I would use that here too. Just going to smooth this out. And it lets me stay in the lines without going over and having to go and clean up spots that I messed up. So once I'm done this, my last step is to clean up, and I just see a few spots that I feel like this got wiped out, but that was a shadow. So let me darken that more over here. And then let me erase with my little eraser to sharpen that shadow a little bit. Just cleans it up. So your fingerprints, sometimes, mess up your picture. You got to clean up your background. All right, this is another shadow spot here. So when you do this cleanup work, you finish up those details too. And that is it. That is day number 25. 5 more to go. Best wishes.